we got insurance registrations. Insurance registrations are good, but not enough, guys. Not enough. So NIO did 4,400 vehicles insurance registrations for last week, plus Envo's 1,700. Very good improvement from the week before, adding up to a total of 6,100 for the previous week. Now, if you add the week before that, which NIO did 3,700 plus Envo's 1,700, which was 5,100. That means from December 2nd to December 15th, NIO has 11,200 insurance registrations. And then, of course, that is not including December 1st. And we can assume that maybe for December 1st, optimistically speaking, maybe 1,000 vehicles. Add that together, and with their guidance, all right, with the guidance, to meet their Q4 guidance, NIO needs to deliver 30,500 vehicles this month, okay? So if you do the math, that means for the remainder of this month, right, for the second half of this month, NIO has to do about 18,300 deliveries. Yeah, it's a very, very, very long stretch. That means they got to do about, give or take, 8,000 for the next 2 weeks, and then for the last few days of the month, probably 1,000 each day. I think it's possible. And once again, NIO CEO has reaffirmed the fact that they will be achieving this target, that they're still positive and they think they will be able to achieve this target. And they are also very positive. Envo CEO also very positive that they will be able to get about 10,000 deliveries for Envo this month. So they're very optimistic, and I certainly do hope that they're able to achieve that. Of course, the massive incentives and end-of-year subsidies going away for many local places here in China does mean that people are kind of forced to pull the trigger, and combine that with NIO's great incentive policy, we're seeing a lot of sales, but can they get those cars fast enough to customers? That's a very big question. Now, of course, even though this just means that we need NIO to deliver about maybe 5,000 plus vehicles, or even 6,000 vehicles next week, or this week, and then Envo has to deliver like 2,000 plus vehicles this week. Okay, yeah, quite a big challenge, but not impossible. Not impossible. Now, of course, a very big hidden factor could be international sales, bulk sales to Azerbaijan, or even international sales from Europe, etc. How does that factor in? So that could potentially, help us get to 30,000 vehicle deliveries, meeting our guidance. So that would be very, very nice if we see that happen. But also, I saw an article here in China, written in Chinese, about the fact that last month in Germany, NIO only sold about 15 vehicles. And then the fact that the CEO said in Germany, the price of NIOs are just as expensive as Porsches, and it's partially because of the tariffs and all that kind of stuff. So I found this quite interesting, and I want to reassure everybody that sales are not just the only metric for success. Of course, you still have like 4 ways to get the car. You can rent the car, you can lease the car, and you can subscribe to the car, and you can buy the car. So they have all those 4 different methods going on at the same time. So a lot of people do subscribe to a NIO, and they're able to become essentially a NIO owner without buying the car. So that's a very important thing for measuring success. But at the same time, with the tariffs and everything, it does seem that Europe, selling the cars as expensive as Porsche, is kind of a challenge for NIO. I'm sure it's a big challenge for a lot of the sales reps there to justify that price, especially when there's such a big difference between the international price in Europe and here in China. So it's a hard justification for people to make. And that's partially why the deliveries are a little bit lower in in Europe, in Germany. But blame the tariffs. Blame the tariffs. But NIO CEO has said that with on-road vehicles, even with the tariffs, the cars will still be extremely competitive in the European market. So, going forward, that's something to look forward to for on-road to sell in Europe and be successful in Europe because it's more affordable. But it does seem like we can't really put that much hope on Europe to carry delivery numbers for this month. Okay, I want to make that very clear. There could be a possibility that we might see a great start with UAE at the very start of the month in November. And they started in November and December. Maybe maybe they might see a couple hundred vehicles, or maybe optimistically, many hundreds of vehicles sold in the UAE, just to be optimistic. And Azerbaijan maybe adding also a couple hundred vehicles, maybe even up to 1,000 vehicles, but that would be kind of a stretch. I'm just thinking maybe a couple hundred vehicles from Azerbaijan. And altogether, combined with the European sales, you probably won't see more than 1,000 vehicles from its global operations as for December. Just my estimate, okay? That's just what I'm thinking. So it's still, you're going to have to rely mostly on domestic sales here in China. And people are rushing to get their cars, and from what I've seen with the Envo, like people that I've recommended to buy the Envo vehicle, and they've used my QR code to buy the Envo vehicle, so I can sort of track their progress. Some of them haven't taken delivery of the cars yet. Right? They're still waiting on the car, so there's still a lot of Envo orders yet to be fulfilled. There's huge demand. Some people are impatient. They want their cars right now. And I understand that. I guess it's more about efficiency going forward with NIO. NIO's operational efficiency. Can they pump out those cars? Can they get those cars to the customers? And what I'm seeing with the Envo customers right now is that the sales reps, delivery specialists are promising them that they can get the cars before the end of this month, somewhere around the 20th something, all right? That does give me a little bit of, that does calm me down a little bit, knowing the fact that, hey, perhaps we're going to see big jump in Envo numbers going into the end of this month, okay? Because that's when most of the 85 kilowatt hour buyers are going to get their cars via the 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, and they'll upgrade later. So that does kind of comfort me a little bit. So I do think that very soon, and also remember, last week the sales reps said sales were exploding. So that does take some time to translate into deliveries. So I do expect a big jump in the next 2 weeks in terms of deliveries, okay? Even though right now we're halfway through the month and it doesn't seem like we're anywhere close. We're only about like a third of the way to our target, and half of the month has already gone past. I am very optimistic that we will see a big jump in deliveries in the next 2 weeks. But is that jump going to be enough to fulfill our target and meet guidance? If we do, we can expect a very good reaction in NIO stock price. But if we don't, and NIO comes out, just a few days before the month ends, maybe December 27th or December 26th, and prudently adjusts their Q4 delivery guidance downwards, which they've done in the past. If they do that, that's going to crash the stock. And I think a lot of investors are already hurt by the stock price movement. If that happens, I think more people will become sort of impatient, okay, and sort of not trust management and their promises, because they've done this multiple times, right? And we do not want to see that happen again, obviously. So I am optimistic, but I am sort of aware of the fact that it is a long stretch, but I think we can get there, all right? As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.